Hi, welcome back to the channel. Just thought I'd do a quick video today. I'm getting towards the end of my Super Naked for the Road series, so I thought it'd be interesting just to do a quick wrap up, recap and ranking of all the bikes that I tested. So if you're not familiar with the series, firstly look up here, but I'm going to be buying a Super Naked for the Road early part of next year now. I'll explain why. And I've been testing all the main contenders plus a couple of outliers over the last couple of months, and they're all up on the channel in the playlist that I've just linked to you. So I thought I'd just do a bit of a wrap up and recap now. So I've tested everything that I'm going to test ride, with a small caveat, but I don't think that'll materially change where these rankings sit. So I thought it'd be interesting to put them in order. There might not be any surprises in here if anybody of you watch the videos, but yeah, look. So let's get into it. So, of all the bikes I tested, which was the ZH2, the Tuono, the Street Fighter, the KTM 1290 Super Duper R, the Triumph Speed Triple RS, and I also test rode the non-SP version of the Yamaha MT10. So those are 6 bikes that I tested. There's obviously some notable exceptions here. BMW, for example, I didn't test ride that. And the reason that I didn't test ride that and a couple of the other ones is I didn't want to waste anyone's time. These are genuine test rides that I filmed, so these aren't bikes that have been loaned to me. I'm not under any sort of on any sort of deal with any sort of manufacturer to borrow a bike, so I don't have to say anything nice about anything, to be honest. I just say exactly what it is, and that's exactly what I wanted this series and these videos to be. Just complete honesty. There's too much bullshit out there, frankly, with people who are test riding bikes and saying stuff about them that's just either not true or vastly exaggerated because they're frightened to death that the manufacturers won't lend them any more bikes. I couldn't care less. So that's why I've been reasonably harsh, to be honest, on some of these bikes, but in my opinion I think they're fairly, and that's the main point of this here, is my opinion. You've all got your own opinions. I've took a fair bit of stick on these videos in the comment section and on social media for some of the things that I've said, and it's mainly from people who own the particular bike that I've said and they love it. That's completely cool. Like, we've all got different opinions. We all sit on a bike and think different things about it. We all want bikes to do different things. Some of us might want something that we can take to the track. Some of us might want something we can just pull wheelies and mess about on. Some of us might want something that's super comfortable. And all these bikes have got different strengths and weaknesses in all those areas. But the long and the short of it is, it's your opinion, and this is just my opinion, so you don't need to listen to it, you don't need to get offended by it. If you've bought a bike that I don't like, that really doesn't matter. If you want to have a chat with me about it, by all means jump in the comments and just have an adult chat without resorting to some of the comments that have been thrown so far. Look, like I said, this isn't your normal channel. I'm not your normal reviewer. I don't have to say anything I don't want to say. I just say it exactly like it is, and that's it. This is my money that's going to buy this bike. This is not something that I've been lent. So, anyway, in 6th place, and this is 6th place for me, not necessarily the bike itself, but just for what I want the bike for, which is to be something comfortable that I can do decent miles on, but also be able to keep up with the lads down the back roads, basically. So in 6th place, this is tough. I'm gonna have to say the Yamaha MT10 in 6th place, and mainly it's because it didn't really do anything great. It was just okay, with the exception of the sound. The sound was nice. With a can on it, it'd be way nicer. It didn't do anything great. I thought the suspension was a real weakness. I didn't think it looked very nice, but again, that's just my opinion. Because of the suspension, the handling was a bit funky. The overall feel of the bike just felt a little bit budget, shall we say. But then again, it is budget, so for that money, it's a lot of bike. But for what I want it for, that went in 6th place. In 5th place, it was pretty close actually, but the ZH2 for me came in 5th place. The bike was quite big, it was really comfortable, really fast. It was kind of like an electric car type fast, you know, super linear, super smooth. But again, I didn't think it was, I thought it was fairly cheap feeling. I didn't like the noise of it actually, that supercharger thing, it sounded like an alien. It would have annoyed me immensely actually over a long journey, it would have really got my nerves. The suspension was a bit wallowy. For what I wanted it for, if I wanted to go big miles and go around Europe and all that kind of stuff, that would probably be top 2 at least, if not the best. But I didn't feel like I could chuck that bike around and do what I wanted to with it. It was a very big, comfy old sort of boat of a bike, to be honest. 4th place. What came in 4th place? It was a tough one really. The KTM 1290 Super Duper R. That for me, out of this whole process, was my biggest disappointment. It was such a letdown. At the beginning of this, I genuinely, I was almost convinced that that's what I would have bought, just based on the looks and some of the reviews that I'd seen on the internet, how good it is, and you've got Jeremy McWilliams flying around Portimao with his elbow on the ground, pulling wheelies, leant over and all sorts, and I'm like, that bike does everything well. And then I got on it, and I was like, I wonder if I've got a bad bike here, because the engine and the noise and the power was amazing, you know, if too much actually for what I wanted it for. But that V-twin power lowdown at least was fantastic. It did run out of puff towards the top end of the rev range, but you don't really live there on that type of bike anyway. But the handling, I just could not deal with the front end in specific. As I was tipping into corners, as I said on the video, if I look up here, it just felt like a Tesco shopping trolley, to be honest. It was just weird, like in a straight line it started weaving, and I was like, I've got a bad bike, I must have had a bad bike here. And as luck had it, or bad luck, but on the first time I rode that bike, my SD card actually corrupted and I lost all the footage. So about 2 days after I rode it the first time, I went out on it again, but on a different bike, different dealership, different day. So I know that it was, you know, a fair comparison. That was the same. It wasn't a bad bike. There was something fundamentally about how that bike, for me, for my riding style and weight, etc., was set up that just made that front end, every time I tipped into a corner, any sort of speed, you know, medium-ish to high-speed corners, it just gave me so little confidence. It felt wooden. I didn't know what it was going to do. Just did not like that bike, didn't get on with it. I am sure, and this was the one I took the most stick on by far. KTM fanboys were very excitable about this one. Oh, you can do this, you can dial it out. Yep, you can dial all these bikes, and they've all got adjustable suspension. These are test rides that normal people do out the box. Yeah, this is the point of it. Nobody's going to do test rides and twiddling with suspension and getting setups and all this kind of stuff. It's this is the point of these videos. But other than that, I also felt like the way that the power delivery came in and the sort of character of the bike, and a lot of people will like this and buy it for this reason, but it was too much of a nutter. I didn't feel like you could go on a relaxing journey on it. You just wanted to rip your head off all the time, which is great, you know, for a lot of use cases, but for me it just wasn't refined. It just didn't have that all-round that appeal that I wanted from this particular Super Naked bike, the reason for me buying this. Third place was Tuono. Now, I am an Aprilia owner and I'm a huge Aprilia fanboy. As most of you probably know, I've got a 2020 RSV4 1100 factory and I adore that bike. I think it's amazing. It's the best bike I've ridden by some stretch, technically speaking at least. Super fast, it handles amazing, it sounds divine. So I love Aprilia. The only reason I don't rate the Tuono higher is because for me, as a Super Naked, so my wish for this is that I'm sat up, you know, I'm comfortable, but it can also do other stuff. And I just felt with the Tuono, it was just a bit too close in sort of riding position and character and what you would do with that bike to the RSV4, to be honest. It wasn't Super Naked-y enough. That makes more sense in my head probably than on this video, but it was too close to the RSV4. You know, it was amazing, fast, absolutely hilariously fast. I think probably straight line wise, like from it was probably the fastest out of all of them. I mean, obviously the ZH2 will probably go a little bit faster top end, but if you think from right down at low revs right up to the top and how high it revved, the stretch of usable power was probably the best on that bike. So that kind of comes in third place for that reason alone. I loved it, but it's too close to the RSV4. Caveat, if I could only have one bike in my garage, 2.0 would be almost certainly the bike that I have. Fantastic machine, really good. I've got a Aprilia dealership near me who are great as well. You know, sometimes comments about the dealer networks. I've had great experience with the dealer networks, to be honest. So there we go. So then we get down to the top two. Well, where do we start here? I'm still a little bit torn, and these top two bikes are both being revised for 2021. This is why I'm just caveating this a bit and holding off. In second place would be, by the finest of margins, and the only margin really that I'm a bit of a tart, that the Triumph Speed Triple RS would come in second. And I flip-flop on this every day. Because that bike is just awesome. It's not quite as powerful as all the rest of them. You know, the looks are a bit questionable, but the sound and the feeling and the smile I got from immediately sitting on that bike, driving it out the dealership and the first set of corners and roundabouts, I was like, this is just full confidence inspiring. It sounded like an old-fashioned race bike with that triple engine. But that bike's been revised for 2021, and I've seen some of the shots of it, and it looks okay, and I'm sure it'll be great. But honestly, the Ducati for me, I think it's just I've got a bit of a thing where I need to own a Ducati soon in my life. I really need one. The V4S it just wasn't, when put up next to the RSV4 1100, it just wasn't quite the one for me. For various reasons, but that's another video. But the Ducati Street Fighter I just thought was the all-round perfect bike. It was just felt special, the suspension was lovely, it was nimble around the corners, it was super fast, the sound was great at high revs. It sounds a bit like a tractor at low revs, but that's just Ducati. And the only quibble with the 2020 Street Fighter was that it may be a bit top-endy. The sort of lower mid-range was a bit weaker than you would have imagined, but it was a lot of top-end. But the 2021 model's been revised, and they've given it a bit more torque, a bit more mid-range, which can only make that bike even better. So look, yeah, I get it's 20 grand. It's probably 5 grand more than the Triumph. God, even as I'm saying that, I'm thinking, is it really 5 grand more bike? It's the brand, you know. For me, buying a bike is about it's an emotional purchase. It's not something. I'm really fortunate to not need this bike for any purpose other than I feel really awkward and arrogant saying this, but for any other purpose other than a toy, a recreational thing. God, that sounds terrible. But look, but it is what it is. You know, I'm really lucky. I've worked pretty hard, but I'm still lucky. So yeah, so the experience, the brand, the emotional feeling you get from being sat on that bike was just different level really to the Triumph. As a technical piece of machinery, the Triumph was amazing. Just enough power, but God, like Ducati was fantastic. Honestly, the only reason I've not bought one is because Lockdown 2 has scuppered me of getting a test ride on the 2021 model. I just need to test ride that bike one more time and take a quick look at the 2021 Triumph. But I don't think it's materially going to change my mind. I think I've got the bug for the Ducati now. I really want one, and I think that Street Fighter's the perfect one for me, alongside the RSV4 1100. So So yeah, I think that's probably be the one that I'm going to buy. So look, this is just a real quick recap and roundup. I've tried to rank these in my head. Please don't be offended if you own one of them that I've said bad things about. They're all great bikes in their own little way, and for each individual use case, they're all amazing and they've got lots of strengths. It's just my opinion. I'm absolute nobody, but I'm just telling you what I think, and if anybody's interested, great, you know. But to finish this video off, the most important thing that you all need to do before you jump in the comments or even buy one is go and ride them. Go and ride all the bikes, because I had such a different feeling about the bikes individually after I'd ridden them to what my perceptions were before. And some of the people actually commenting the videos, giving me abuse, amazingly, were giving me abuse and they'd never even ridden the bike. I was like, what? They'd never even ridden the bike, but they'd seen their favourite reviewer or their favourite, you know, mainstream channel say great things about it, and because I was saying the opposite, they were getting twitchy knickers about it, which is really weird. But look, anyway, go ride the bikes. Trust me, ride them. You'll get a different opinion. I'm absolutely certain of it. So yeah, look, top of the list for me came the Ducati. Really close with that Triumph though. For the money, if you pick one of those Triumphs up for what, 14-15 grand, make sure you get a quick shifter and auto blipper on it. It's a lot of bike. So yeah, look, as soon as we get lockdown done and I can get on the 2021 model, I will do some nifty negotiating with the dealership. In fact, I'm going to bring a video about that as well, on how I go about that, because there's a bit of an art to getting a deal on bikes, in my opinion. But I'll take you through that process of me buying it and everything else. So I hope you all enjoyed the video. I'm going to wrap it up now. Thanks all very much to all the new subscribers. It's quite mind-boggling actually how many of you are around now and leaving amazingly nice comments all the time. I really see them all, I read them all, and I try to reply to them all. So thanks very much, really appreciate it, and hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next one.